Hi again. So in this video I'm going to teach you how to test tablet components using the multimeter. So we're gonna see tablet motherboard components, testing, names, functions and symbol. But before diving into details, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated for future videos like this one. Okay, so we're gonna study, of course, 3 different tablets, of course, and we have the 4th motherboard over here. So why I choose exactly different tablet? In order to know about all different in tablets. Basically all motherboards are the same, but there is a slight difference. So first let's see an overview about tablet component, and then we're gonna test this component one by one. So let's get started. So let's begin with this motherboard. As you can see here, let's begin with this component. This is basically the processor or CPU. As you can see here, we have dual core processor E23. Here we have RAM chips. This is the ROM 4 GB or the BIOS. Inside this IC there is a program or a software that controls all operations in the motherboard. So here we have the power IC, as you can see here. And over here we have the control IC for screen and touchpad. This is basically the crystal oscillator. So these components, as you can see here, around the IC are ceramic capacitors. This is a very important component that I'm going to teach you how to test it. This is basically inductors. Okay, those are inductors. This also is inductor. We have an IC over here, a voltage regulator. Here over here we have diode. This is a fuse resistor. We have 0 over here. I'm going to teach you how to test all these components. So over here we have resistors and normal resistors. These resistors basically are current sense resistors. So here we have, as you can see, normal resistor, and over here we have network resistor, as you can see. So this network resistor are the same as this, but we use it to gain space in the motherboard. So here basically we have 3 terminal MOSFET, as you can see, ceramic capacitor, and over here we have a diode. So let's see this motherboard also. So inductor, diode, ceramic capacitors, ICs, LED or light emitting diode. We have here flash. Here we have SPK, means this is speaker. These 2 cables are for speaker. Here we have mic, as you can see over here. So we have this point, as you can see here. This is test point. We can use this point to take measurements. We have here other network resistors, as you can see, with 0 ohm, as you can see. This network resistor are composed of 4 resistors. As you can see, we have 4 pins. This is basically inductor. Do you see here? We have a wire inside it. This is inductor, and this is IC. So this, as you can see, is the crystal oscillator, exactly like this one. Here basically we have the model for the motherboard. As you can see, motherboard MT6572 version 18. For this motherboard, for example, we have version 3.5. So if you want, for example, to replace this motherboard, you should use this reference or part number. So now let's move on to testing. Let's use right now the multimeter to test the tablet component. So let's test first diodes, like this one, for example, and this one over here. So for the diode, as you can see, we have here a mark. Do you see this mark? Means this is the cathode here, and over here we have anode. Okay, so here we're gonna put the black probe, and in this side we're gonna put the red probe. We should get a reading in the multimeter, and if we swap the probe we should not get anything. So let's check. So basically here we have the cathode, and over here we have the anode. As you can see in the multimeter, we will get 153. Okay, means this is good. If I swap the probes, I should not get anything in the multimeter. As you can see, nothing in the multimeter. Means this diode is a good diode. So let's check this one also, as you can see over here. So for this one, as you can see, we have this line here. Means this is cathode, and over here we have anode. So if you get a short while testing the diode, means the diode is shorted. So let's check. So the black probe here in the cathode and the red probe in the anode. We get a reading, as you can see. Okay? If we swap the probes, we should not get anything in the multimeter. Nothing. Means the diode is good. So here we have another. Let's check this one also, the last one, just to understand for beginners how to test diodes. So the first thing is to identify the cathode. Over here we have cathode, as you can see. We have this line, means this is the cathode, and over here we have anode. So let's check it. So the black probe in the cathode, as you can see, and the red probe in the anode. We get a reading, the same reading in the multimeter. If I swap the probes, as you can see, nothing in the multimeter. Means this diode also is a good diode. So this is how you can check diodes. Now let's check MOSFETs. As you can see, 3 terminal MOSFETs. So first we should locate its terminals. So this is basically the gate. Here we have source, and here we have drain. So between source and drain, we should get a reading, exactly like the diode. And if we swap the probe, we should not get anything in the multimeter. So let's check. So here we have the source. We're gonna put one probe here in the source and the other probe in the drain. Do you see? We get a reading in the multimeter. So if I swap the probes, I should not get anything in the multimeter. As you can see, nothing in the multimeter. The same as the diode. Means this MOSFET is good. Let's check this one also. So always here, the black probe in the source and the red probe in the drain, we get a reading. Means this is PNP MOSFET. When you put the red probe in the drain and the black probe in the source and you get a reading, means this is PNP MOSFET. So let's swap the probes. We should not get anything in the multimeter. As you can see, nothing in the multimeter. Means these two MOSFETs are good MOSFETs. Now let's test inductors. As you can see, this is inductor. This also is inductor. This one, this one, this one, and this one. All these are inductor. Basically, the inductor testing is simple. Always you should put the multimeter to the buzzer option and check inductors. So let's check this inductor, for example. We should get a continuity in the multimeter. As you can see, we have 0 ohm in the multimeter. Means this is a good inductor. Let's check this one also. As you can see in the multimeter, means this is a good diode. So let's check this one here. As you can see also, the same reading, 0 ohm in the multimeter. Means this is a good inductor. So this is how you can test inductor. You should just select the continuity option and you should find a reading like this. Okay? If you didn't find any reading, any buzzer, means the diode is bad. You should replace it. Let's now check the ceramic capacitors. As you can see, always we gonna select, as you can see, the continuity option. So a bad capacitor is a capacitor with a low reading. So let's check, for example, these capacitors. This is good. You should get a reading over here. You should get a reading more than 100, as you can see. 900. Let's check this one also. Also the same reading. Let's check this one, for example, over here, as you can see. So this is also a good capacitor. So let's see another motherboard, for example. So let's check the ceramic capacitor over here. Do you see? We get a reading, a high reading, more than 100, means the ceramic capacitor is good. In this motherboard, basically, we have, so once you check the capacitor and you get a reading in the multimeter, means the capacitor is good. So basically here, we have two diodes here, a small diodes. This is MOSFETs, this is inductor, IC, ceramic capacitor, diode, inductor, IC, ceramic capacitor, MOSFET, capacitor, diode, inductor, IC. Do you see? It's simple. And here we have resistors, normal resistors. Now I'm going to teach you how to test ICs. Let's take this IC for example. Here basically around this IC we have many ceramic capacitors and resistors. This is basically a small capacitor. Let's take another IC with big capacitors just to see clearly. This IC, for example, this is basically the power IC. Over here we have many inductors and ceramic capacitors. Why these inductors? Means we have many channels here. In order to cool down the IC, in order to test the IC, you have three methods. The first method is you can use your finger and check whether the IC is hot or not. If you find that the IC is very hot, above normal, means the IC is bad. The second method is by checking the ceramic capacitor around the IC. If you find any shorted capacitor in both sides, means the IC probably is the failed component. And the third method is by checking the inputs and the outputs. If you don't have the output, you should check the inputs. If all inputs are okay and you still didn't have the output, means the IC is bad. But if the inputs are missing or one of inputs are missing, means the IC is not the bad component. You should troubleshoot your inputs. So let's summarize what we have seen in this course, and of course I will give you some tips, okay, that some very important tips. So let's begin with samples. So for capacitor, ceramic capacitor, this is basically its symbol. It's not polarized. For electrolytic capacitor, this is its symbol. It is polarized. This one or this one, as you can see. So for resistor, you can find the symbol. This is the symbol for resistor, or this symbol, as you can see. Basically, this is universal symbol, and this symbol is US symbol. So here we have resistor. So this is basically here ceramic capacitor, okay, and this one basically is electrolytic capacitor, and basically this is the symbol for diodes, as you can see. Here we have cathode and here we have anode. And for Zener diode, as you can see, you can find the same symbol, but as you can see, this is the symbol. This is basically Zener diode, and this is a normal diode. So for diode, the current passes just in one direction, as you can see. So this is the symbol for crystal oscillator. Okay, for the crystal, this is its symbol. Its reference is X or Y. As you can see, this component, this is the crystal oscillator. Without this crystal oscillator, the motherboard cannot work properly. Basically, the crystal oscillator and the clock generator are responsible for clock and timing in any motherboard. So here we have the symbol, as you can see, for inductor L, the reference L or PL. This is basically inductor or coil. So this is the symbol, as you can see, for MOSFET. So here we have the gate, here we have drain, and over here we have source. This is basically MOSFET. You can find MOSFET with 8 terminals, as you can see. 8 terminals. So 4 terminals here for drain connected together, 3 terminals for source connected together, and this is the gate. So this is 8-pin MOSFET. Like this one, for example. Do you see 4 pins connected together? Here we have the gate alone and 3 pins connected together. 8-pin MOSFET. This is not MOSFET, this is the BIOS, a big IC with a paint above it. This is the symbol for the IC. Basically, you will find IC like this. Its reference is U. So the reference for IC is U and for MOSFET Q. Okay? So basically the IC contain over here inputs and outputs. The output, for example, could be 5 volts or 3.3 volts. And the input could be, for example, 5 volts, 12 volts, enable, or power good, as you can see. So, of course, the IC is also connected to the ground and connected to many ceramic capacitors that is connected to the ground. So, for example, if you didn't get 3.3 volt, doesn't mean that the IC is bad. You should go and check the inputs. Is it present or not? If you find 5 volt is present, 12 volt is present, enable is present, and the power good is present, and other input signals are okay, and you still didn't get 3.3 volt and 5 volt, means the IC is bad. So there is 3 methods that you can know whether the IC is good or not. So the first method, by checking the heat of the IC. If you find that the IC is very hot, above normal, means the IC is bad. The second method is by checking the ceramic capacitors around the IC. If you find that ceramic capacitors around the IC are shorted, means the IC is shorted, because the ceramic capacitor is connected to the ground in just one side. But if the IC, for example, is shorted, means the ceramic capacitor also will be shorted in this side and in this side, and you will get a short. But the short is not in the ceramic capacitor, the short is in the IC. So by checking the ceramic capacitors. The third method is by checking the inputs and outputs. If you don't have the output over here, you should go and check inputs. So using, of course, here you should use the data sheet of the IC. If you find that all inputs are good and you still didn't have these outputs, means the IC is bad. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that you understand a little bit about tablet motherboard. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video, and you are very welcome in my Patreon page for more unique content. And of course, I invite you to join me in YouTube channel membership that I created recently where you can enjoy exclusive content, perks, early access to content, and much more. So thank you very much and see you in the next video.